So you walk in and you're thinking, okay, community college fashion show. Well, yeah, that's nice. I mean, maybe you've been to 4-H, right? Some folding chairs, little runway, maybe a high school stage, and kids proudly showing off their own homemade outfits. Then you walk in. Professional lighting, big cameras, a real runway. VIP guests from faraway schools, corporate sponsors, live streamed online, hors d'oeuvres in the lounge. Something in the neighborhood of 100 models about to step out in student design pieces. I promise you, you did not see this coming. This is not a small deal. This is the Genesee Community College annual fashion show. And today, I'm talking to one of the students who made it happen. I'm Loy from Online Learning, and this is Study With Me, episode 28, Stitched Together. Okay, so today I'm here with Hayley Eaton, who is a fashion design student here at Genesee Community College. Hayley, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What made you want to study fashion design, and what has GCC done for you in terms of your goals?
Yeah, so my name's Hayley, as said, and I'm a sophomore fashion design student here at Genesee Community College. And although I'm in fashion design, I eventually want to pursue a career in costume design, and I'm going to be transferring to a 4-year university after this. And I feel like Genesee Community College overall has really prepared me for the school that I'm going to be going to next. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about that today. Honestly, I think I've been into arts and fashion since I was really little. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was like 10 years old with my Monster High dolls and doing fashion coloring books and stuff like that. And I would always be really nitpicky about my parents' outfits if we were going to church or something. And I'd be like, you should not wear that color with that color shirt with those color pants. And then I didn't really consider doing a fashion career until about high school. Mm-hmm. I always thought that doing STEM was the only way I'd be able to be taken seriously. But then I realized, going into an art and fashion career is valid, and then I eventually decided that was something I wanted to pursue.
Oh, I tell you, if you don't take the fashion show seriously, then it's obvious you haven't been to the fashion show. I think it's one of the bigger events in the county. So let's pivot to talking a little bit about the fashion design program here at GCC. So it's not a program where you're just, sitting in classroom taking notes, watching somebody write on a blackboard, right? I mean, tell me what a typical week in the fashion design program looks like for you.
So a typical week there's a lot going on. There's definitely a lot going on. It's not just me sitting in a classroom and taking notes the entire time. There's a lot of hands-on work that goes into it, and a lot of my time is spent in the sewing lab because, you get to take classes like advanced sewing and draping, and right now I'm taking a class that the whole purpose is to prepare you for the fashion show. So almost every day I'm in class making my looks and sewing, and I'm also in my fashion show production class collaborating with other scene coordinators to help produce the fashion show. So it's a lot more than just watching a presentation.
Mm-hmm. So and this is a little bit off book here, but if you could for us, kind of give us a visual. Like you said, sewing lab. And when I think lab, I think like test tubes and Bunsen burners and stuff like that. So what does a sewing lab look like? What does it sound like? Like when you walk in the room, what's your impression?
So you walk in, and I think the first thing you hear a bunch of sewing machines going. People are giggling, talking to each other. It's a very welcoming environment. And we got bright lights on, but I'd say there's about 10 to 15, about 10 to 15 sewing machines. We have machines, sergers, embroidery machines, buttonhole machines. We've got a lot of different stuff. And that there's like a main room that has all of those machines, and then there's irons in the back, and then you move on to a room that's next to it that has these big tables that you can use for cutting, and then we have a bunch of cabinets with our materials in fabric and leather, and it's this big, great open workspace that everyone can use.
Nice. That sounds like a lot of fun. So do you feel that, doing that hands-on piece, does that change the way you learn about fashion and how things are going? How to do fashion?
Definitely. I think that is what makes GCC so great as compared to maybe some other programs. I really like that there's this hands-on aspect instead of like just sitting in a lecture. Because I get to actually apply my knowledge by doing it. Like, I get to make looks for an actual fashion show. I get to make my actual designs that I have thinking in my head. I don't just come up with the designs, but I actually get to like make them myself. I think it really is helping me understand how to apply my knowledge and how I can use it in the real world instead of just learning it simply. I get to actually do it.
So can you tell me about a time where you were working on something and maybe it was a little different than you expected, maybe a little more intense than you expected? Like, has there been anything you've been working on lately that surprised you in some way once you got your hands on it?
Definitely. Especially there's this gown that I'm making right now. I mean, even though this isn't my first year sewing, the thing about sewing and being a fashion design student is there's always surprises and you're constantly learning. You never know everything. And I'm working on this gown right now. And what came up is I'm trying to think about how I could explain this to someone that doesn't sew. Basically, the way I thought that I could attach all the pieces together was right in my head. But then when I made the actual garment and cut out the pieces, I was like, oh, that's not really working well. So then I had to kind of change the way that I sewed the entire thing together. But it ended up working okay, but it's definitely a lot of like changing. Like, I don't think I've ever had a plan at the very beginning and the result ended up the exact way as how I planned it. I mean, it's very rare for me. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's something about learning those things, and as someone who has sewed a few times, I know exactly what you're talking about. You think, oh, this arm is just this sleeve is just gonna go right there, and it's gonna lay the way I want it to, and you get it in there, and it's sticking out sideways. No, that's not what I pictured. All right, let's talk a little bit about the fashion show. And I have to be honest with you, like the first time I went to the fashion show, I went to it because I knew somebody who was modeling in it. I had, at that time, not a whole lot of interest in the fashion show. I had a whole lot of interest in costuming, but I didn't know that much about it. And I went and I was absolutely stunned. This was way back when it was in the Forum. The Forum was jam-packed. There were people on the second floor, the third floor, watching over the balconies and just everything everywhere. So can you describe the fashion show experience, especially now? So it's not in the Forum anymore, but can you describe that for somebody who's never been?
Yes. So it's a very big production and it's hosted in the Call Arena. So there's usually we get over 1,000 people in attendance, and it's a very large production. We work with media and lighting, and we have music that's produced for us. And we have a VIP section, and there's also a whole back of house going on that's separated from everything else. And we have hair and makeup artists specifically for each scene. It's definitely something very different, and I feel like over the years it's gotten bigger and bigger and become more professional.
Yeah. I remember one year my kid was in it. She was 11 and modeling in it. And I said, you don't have to go to school today. And she said, or don't have to go to GCC today. And she said, yeah, I do, Mom. I got to meet with my stylist today.
Okay.
Yeah, my 11-year-old had a stylist.
Okay.
It's just a really interesting, collision of things. So, I guess every year there's a theme, right? And so, can you tell us about this year's theme? And like, I know the name of it, but what does it mean?
Yeah, so Antiterrestrial. This theme, I think, when you first hear about it, you're like, I think a lot of people might think very simply, like, oh, okay, anti-terrestrial, maybe like space aliens, But it's a lot more than that. Basically, the overall question that results from this theme is what would happen if humans left? What would happen if we had to make home somewhere else? And everyone kind of takes this idea and translates it into a different universal element. So each scene is focused on a different universal element, and mine is Jupiter. So my scene is all about if humans lived on Jupiter, what would society be like? And this theme is really a way that scene coordinators can express certain characteristics of our society, whether that's good or bad. And it kind of makes us question how have humans been shaped by the world that we inhabit?
That is very cool. And you remind me of so many times where we think, I don't know, it's we, but there's this sort of prevailing attitude that the arts are not as important as, like you said, STEM careers. The only way I'm going to get taken seriously. And yet, how much do we need art in our lives to really think about the bigger questions like that? So when you take a concept like that, how do you turn that into like a garment?
So it kind of starts with interpreting the theme, and each scene coordinator is going to interpret it a little bit differently. I mean, personally, for me, I take it as like, okay, humans are living on Jupiter. How would we apply the current systems that we live in and the way we interact with each other? How would that be different based on the environment? And then we translate the abstract concepts that we get from thinking it through. And then we have to find a way to create visual elements based off of that. And we can do that in a lot of different ways. We can experiment with color and silhouette and texture and fabric choice. And all of those things are ways that we can try to communicate the ideas that we thought of for our scene. And instead of designing something literal, like, okay, my planet's Jupiter, I'm gonna just only focus on the colors of Jupiter and that's it. It's deeper than that, and it's more about thinking, how can I represent a feeling or a message behind my scene?
I love that. That's awesome. So this is more than just like a student showcase, right? So tell me a little bit about who actually comes to the fashion show and what that means for you as students.
So I think that's, sometimes when you hear school fashion show, you can think like, okay, it's just like college students that are going to this and really nothing else. But a lot of people actually go to this. You have people from all different places of Western New York. You have the community, professors from the school, not only from our school, but from other schools that that travel to GCC to come see our show. You see fashion industry professionals that come to our show. We even had a state senator last year come to our show, which was awesome.
And I heard you have sponsors.
Yes, we do. Specifically, this year we have WBTA, Lauren Paisley, Always Wrestle, and Will's Carpet One. And basically, sponsors just help us make the most of the fashion show. They donate money to help us make this the best production that we can and give us the resources to do that, and we really appreciate them.
Nice. And each student gets their own moment on the runway?
So the fashion show itself is broken up into different scenes, and each fashion design student is a scene coordinator of their own scene. And each scene is about 10 to 12 looks, and it's their entire own moment. They get their own music, their own choreography, everything that relates to just their own scene.
Right. And when you said there are some people coming from other colleges, did that include some of the schools that you might think about transferring to?
Possibly. I mean, I've heard that there's been times when people not only from New York State come, but people from other schools.
Nice. And I heard there's a VIP lounge.
Oh,
There's
yes.
a whole VIP scenario. So tell me about the VIP experience.
Okay. So there's the reception area, and there's hors d'oeuvres offered with dessert. And there's going to be a secret special fashion technology display. Can't give away too much yet. They've got priority seating and swag bags, which are super cool. But also, they also get everything that general admission also gets. So the VR experience, the raffle, all of that good stuff.
So VR experience, so virtual reality. So tell me a little bit about the virtual reality, and I heard augmented reality too.
Oh, yeah. So we have something called magic mirrors where you're able to see what garments actually look like on your body. So we have students that have made fashion designs in this software called Clo, where it's like a 3D visualization software, and you can design it virtually, and then you can kind of see what it looks like on you, and it's super cool.
Oh, nice, nice. So from a student perspective, and, you know, all of that is attached to the work that you're doing, does that feel like pressure? Does that feel like excitement? What does that feel like for a student?
It's a little bit of both. I think it's definitely more so excitement because, you know, it kind of makes you feel like, okay, all this hard work is really going to pay off because so many eyes are on my work, and it's this big production that I get to be featured in. So it's really cool. But it is also a lot, some pressure because you're like, okay, I want to make sure that my work is good enough so all these people are going to see it. I want to, you know, obviously every student is thinking, I want to impress people. I want to be the scene that people are like, wow, you know. But overall, it's really exciting, and I really can't wait for this year's show.
So I'm going to throw a curveball question at you. Do you think, or how do you think your experience here as a fashion design student would be different if you didn't have the capstone project, the fashion show?
I feel like I wouldn't feel as prepared going to my next school or into my career if I didn't go to a school after this. I feel like the fashion show really has helped me grow as a designer. And also it's helped me really build my portfolio, which really helped me transfer my transfer applications to these schools because I really had something to show. And, you know, I had people, professors reaching out to me like, wow, like you did this fashion show. That's so great and interesting. I can't believe that you got all this work done at your school's fashion show. And I feel like if I didn't do it, I just wouldn't feel as prepared because there's this big capstone project. I've had the experience of like committing myself to a big project, and it's really helpful.
And the students run everything about the show, correct? Like finding sponsors and arranging lighting and choreography and the production of the show itself?
So the sophomores, we all have our fashion show production class, and we all coordinate meetings with buildings and grounds, lighting, the marketing committee, everything. And we break it into different committees, and we have a planning committee, back of house, front of house, finances, and, I'm forgetting one. Back of house, front of house, planning committee. No, wait, that's it. That's all of them.
Okay.
And then we all have different jobs to help prepare for the show. So we have to find models, and we have to, you know, coordinate with all the people I mentioned and find sponsors and make sure that the call arena is all ready to go for the big day. So it's not just designing. It's more than that. We're also producing.
So it sounds like you really have to learn how to work in a team.
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of the soft skills that employers keep saying that they want to see out of, you know, graduating college students is the ability to work and manage within that team, which is a whole different experience. Right?
And I think that's a really big part of it because, you know, we're fashion designers. We are very opinionated people.
No.
So a lot of people have a lot of opinions in our fashion show production class, and we're making big decisions like, what's the runway going to look like? What is the flyer going to look like? And you really have to learn how to work with people that have completely different opinions than you. And through this class and working with these people in the fashion program, it has really helped me. I feel like I've grown from it.
Nice. So it sounds like this is a great project for, you know, well, the capstone on your 2 years here at GCC, or on the 2-year program here at GCC. So let me ask you something. If you were talking to a student who was thinking about fashion design and they weren't sure maybe it was the right fit for them, what would you tell them?
Do you mean fashion design in general or fashion design at GCC?
Well, let's keep it to GCC. Yeah.
Okay. I think, and you said, like, what would I ask them?
Yeah, what would you suggest?
I would suggest, I mean,
we can start with come to the fashion show, right?
yeah. I mean, that's a great way to start. I mean, obviously, I would recommend it to anybody because, I mean, going into this, originally, I came to Genesee Community College not really knowing what to expect, especially because I came here also to play volleyball. I was like, okay, I'm going to play volleyball and then also do fashion design. And, you know, I didn't think it was going to be as much of what it is. And now that I've been in the program, and I've realized how much it has to offer, I would recommend it to anybody. And I would tell them that if you're looking for a program that's going to push you, because it definitely does push you and you do have to complete a lot of hard work, then this is the program for you. I mean, I would tell them if you're looking for a program where you don't really have to commit yourself and you can just be lax and you don't really have to do all that much, I'd say maybe this isn't the program for you. But I feel like I really benefited from it being some hard work.
So you got to be all in.
Yeah.
All in. So there will be a lot of people at the fashion show, a lot of students, a lot of professors, a lot of people at the college. If somebody was interested in the fashion design program, they could come to the fashion show and just kind of introduce themselves?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the fashion show is a great place to meet people, too. Especially after the show, everyone's mingling, everyone's talking. It's a great place.
So let's talk about your personal fashion show experience. So now I want to ask, what are you the most proud of out of your whole experience? And it doesn't have to be like a thing. It doesn't have to be like a look. But what overall are you the most proud of when you think about you and the fashion show and your part in it?
I think, well, I have a unique experience because not only am I doing the fashion show this year as a sophomore, but last year I also co-coordinated a scene. So I have 2 years of experience. And I think the biggest thing that I'm proud of is, honestly, this is going to sound very general, but let me explain.
Okay.
Honestly, just being able to get it done and seeing the final result be something that I can look at and be proud of. Especially because I'm a perfectionist and I always feel like, oh, this could have been better, that could have been done in a better way. But after putting in so much work into the fashion show and seeing what it became, I was actually satisfied and proud of myself, and that was a big moment for me.
Nice. There's a certain magic about seeing something completed. I was in costuming down at SUNY Fredonia, and someone who was there working with me, she said something to me. What did she say? She said, perfect is pretty, but done is beautiful.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
There's something magic about just getting it done and seeing it finally done and seeing it, on the runway, on the stage, whatever you have. So, and then it sounds like the students get that experience here through the fashion show capstone.
Yeah, and that feeling after your models walk on the runway, I remember I was backstage and it was right after we walked off. You cannot replace that feeling. It was such a amazing feeling.
Right. That moment of kind of pride and awe and realizing that you did that.
Yes.
And then probably a few other intangibles in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, Hayley, this has been great. It's been great having you on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. So if you're out there listening and you want to find more about the fashion design, find out more about the fashion design program I conduct today at Genesee Community College, you head over to www.genesee.edu. And if you want to see the show, and you do want to see the show, because I've been in the sewing lab and I've seen some of these looks. Stay tuned to the college's social media. There'll be information for tickets if you want to come in person, details about that. And the fashion show is live streamed. So also watch the college's social media and you can watch the fashion show from afar. So thank you again for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
And now I get to share with you our podcast mantra. Our podcast has a mantra.
Okay.
Our mantra is progress, not perfection.
I like that.